comes back to the liquor aisle now, and guess what?
What?
No 1792 small batch bottle in his hand anymore, but he still has his backpack on.
Bro.
So I'm like...
That is an odd-shaped bottle to keister.
Hello, and welcome everyone to episode 104 of The Mashup, the best bourbon conversation you're going to hear all week long. We are your hosts, Anthony and Kenny.
Hello, how you doing?
Hey, what's up, big dog? You back for another episode?
Glad to be back.
Look what the cat dragged in.
Yeah, I'm here.
You're here, and I'd say to you tonight that your head is looking extra shiny and nice.
Well, I do appreciate that. I cut my hair today.
Yeah.
Applied a little oil.
What's the worst thing that anybody's ever said? Like, I mean, I don't know because, I have this luscious Greek mane that I call here. And you have a little bit of challenge going on upstairs there, hasn't it? Do you embrace your lack of hair, or does it ever bother you? Do you ever wish you looked like me? It's a loaded question.
Well,
he's thinking hard.
Well, I wish I had maybe hair like you.
Okay.
Wouldn't want to look like you.
Oh, here we go.
I'm married, so I guess it wouldn't matter what.
No. Okay. No, I'm just messing with you, man.
To be honest with you, I held on to it way too long.
Really?
Just like Mark Stoops does, but you can edit that out if you want.
Give a little shout out to Mark Stoops. No, it's all
UK
good.
Football, actually.
No. Well, not to rapidly shift gears here, but I have to tell you about the craziest thing that happened the other day when I was at Target. So, do you ever peruse the liquor aisle at Target, or am I the only degenerate that does that?
Believe it or not, I do.
Yeah,
because they have no limit.
Oh,
so if you get lucky,
yeah,
and they haven't put out Blanton's that day or Eagle Rare that day,
yeah,
however many is out there, load your cart up and roll.
Oh, is that why I can never find Eagle Rare or Blanton's or anything at Target? Because you are there. Are you there on those days?
Honestly, I quit really going. I quit chasing like that.
Yeah.
A year and a half ago. But
gotcha.
No, I used to hit it up because if you got lucky, you got lucky.
Oh, that's awesome.
I remember that one day. Sidetrack on this, but remember I bought 40 something bottles of Old Forester Barrel Strength. You remember that? I sent you a picture of that. And you even got a couple of them.
I do.
I literally loaded the whole cart up with Old Forester Barrel Strength.
I remember thinking to myself, like, what are people at Target thinking when you have a cart full of liquor?
If you ever watch movie Friday and you got Debo's tires, the tires in this cart were.
Yeah.
As I was pushing it, was full of literally 40 something barrels of Old Forester Barrel Strength.
That's probably one of the most epic. I remember when you texted that and I was like, what on God's green earth? And I'm like, holy cow. The reason why I'm bringing up Target is because I assume you paid for your bottles that day, right?
I did actually, yes.
So follow me on this. The other weekend, I'm like, this is a couple weeks ago, I'm at Target and my kids are screaming and yelling. They're trying to decide what toys they want, and that's always like a massive thing. So we go to Target, like, you can spend $20. And my son...
You're a baller.
Oh, baller. Come on.
We go to the dollar store with my kids. You have $5.
$5.
Get 5 things.
Well, now that you've made me feel like I'm a high-class society with my $20 spending limit at Target, my son will agonize. He will, literally pick something up, put it down, pick it up, put it down, and that goes on for 40 minutes, and I just tune out. So my kids are both in that phase. They're picking up stuff from the shelves, putting it down, whatnot, and so I walk over to the liquor aisle.
Yeah.
And I see a dude standing in the liquor aisle. I can't remember. I wish I remember what he had on his beanie because that would be very distinctive to identify him. But he had a logoed beanie on.
Yeah.
I feel like it was a bourbon beanie, like it had a bourbon company on it, like Heaven Hill or something.
Yeah.
So he's standing in the liquor aisle and he's got a backpack on and he picks up a bottle of 1792 small batch.
Yeah.
No big deal, right? You got your 1792 small batch. Who cares?
That's an odd-shaped bottle.
Odd-shaped bottle. So as he's standing there, he walks past me out of the liquor aisle and he walks into the toy aisle. And so I'm like, that's interesting. So I didn't see that this guy was with his family.
Okay.
So I'm like, what is going on here? So he comes back to the liquor aisle now, and guess what?
What?
No 1792 small batch bottle in his hand anymore, but he still has his backpack on.
Bro.
So I'm like...
That is an odd-shaped bottle to keister.
So...
I could not... pick something skinny and thin.
Right?
Oh, my gosh.
Come on. So I'm shocked now. I'm like, did this guy really just steal a bottle of 1792? So I'm like, there's got to be an explanation for this. So he continues to look at bottles on the shelf, and he keeps looking over at me, and I'm like... bro, like, come on. So I'm
Was
like,
he walking funny?
I don't know, just display. So he has kids also, and his wife is pushing a cart. So I'm like, got to be there. So I walk right over, like I'm looking at an end cap, and I look in the cart because I'm like, that 1792 is just going to be in the cart. That explains everything. But guess what?
No 1792.
No 1792. And then he says to her, I forgot something like, I can't remember what he said. Like, I forgot the kids because one of the kids was small, like formula or something. He leaves the store. So meanwhile, they're still in the aisle and everything. Then he comes back, and I don't remember seeing him pull any formula out. So I think he legit took that 1792, put it in his sack, and just left.
I'll tell you whose kids probably do not have a $20 toy limit. His. Pick whatever you want. Daddy will make it happen.
Dad's theming the bourbon over here, and everything's gonna be fine. So my God, what a moron. Man. That's horrible, right? So I guess what if that guy listened to the Mashup podcast and he's like, wait a minute, that's me. That would be some irony. But anyway, so Kenny, unfortunately, we didn't have any shout outs this week, but in a moment here, we're gonna get to what bottles we're gonna be tasting. So even though we don't have a formal shout out, I'd like to give a shout out to Pablo. Is it Pablo Moix or Moix? Do you know how to pronounce that?
It's Moix or Moix.
Yeah.
Rare Character.
Yeah. So Rare Character. So we're going to be talking about Rare Character, a whiskey that I mentioned, a different kind of whiskey I mentioned when I recorded with my kids a couple weeks ago. But Rare Character, one of the co-founders is Pablo, and I've posted a few times under the Mashup account about certain types of whiskeys they put out, and also under my personal Instagram account. And he's been nice enough to like those photos, and put the fire emoji and things like that. And so feeling a little love from the founder of what's an up and coming company means a lot. So just want to give him a shout out on our podcast. And if any of you out there would like a shout out, please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or Facebook, and we'll give you a shout out the next time we record.
I did meet Pablo once.
You did meet him, huh?
Great guy.
No, that's
absolutely
awesome.
Amazing. Very generous guy.
So very generous guy, and we're going to pick that up here in a second. I do think that he is a generous guy, and we'll get back to that here in a moment. So tonight we actually have not one bottle, not two bottles, not three.
Oh my gosh.
But 4 bottles of whiskey.
I thought I was just drunk, seeing multiples. There's really 4 there.
Well, they do look very similar. And so tonight, Kenny, we have 4 bottles of Rare Character Exceptional Series Kentucky Straight Malt Whiskey.
Yes, these are Kentucky Straight Malt Whiskey, rumored to be distilled by Heaven Hill.
Ooh.
NDAs obviously are signed, but rumor is Heaven Hill.
Rumor has it.
Yep. So you are actually going to be 65% malted barley.
Okay.
35% corn.
Ooh, that's interesting.
So I believe you said before we had that Balcone, so it was 100% straight malt.
That's right.
Previously we had that old Louisville that was 51% corn, 49% malted barley, so it was still a bourbon.
Yep.
So this is actually Kentucky Straight Malt Whiskey, but not single malt. Mm-hmm. So 65 malted barley, 35% corn. But we actually have 4 different ones. We have an 8-year-old that clocks in around 131 proof. We'll have a 9-year, 6-month. And then that 9-year, 6-month is going to be around 130 proof as well, 132 as well. Pretty similar. We have a 11-year and 8-month, and that one's a little bit lower. It's about 104, 105 proof.
Interesting. And
then we have a 14-year. It's about 133 proof.
Wow.
So I don't know what happened. Honestly, one of my good buddies is really, really good friends with Pablo. I need to actually find out. I mean,
yeah.
It's so weird. The 8, the 9, and the 14 are all that same 130-ish, 133, 135 proof. But the 11, every 11-year pick I've seen 3 or 4 out there, 2 or 3 out there, and they're all that 103, 104, 105. So I don't know what happened to the 11s.
Man, that's crazy. And the one thing I will say about that is, I'm thinking, what is the price range on these at retail, on starting with the 8-year up to the 14?
89 or 99.
Okay.
On up to about 225.
Okay.
And everywhere between, depending on the year.
Wow. Okay. So there's a
in the liquor store. I mean, it varies a little bit. So yeah. Some of the 14s were $199. Some of them are $229, $220, depending on which liquor store released them. But yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Well, I was going to say there's no bottle pop sounds tonight because we pre-poured these, And the reason why I pre-poured them is because I thought it would be hard to pop 4 bottles and pour them all out at the same time. And I don't know really if we've ever tasted 4 side by side on the mashup. So this could be a new milestone here. And I'll attribute that to Kenny being a bad influence or a good one, depending on how you look at it. So I literally know very little about the founding of Rare Character. And what I do know is there is a rabid fan base for Rare Character. So you're part of the Rare Character Clubhouse on Facebook, aren't you?
I sure am.
Yeah. And what do you think of that group?
So far, it's been a bunch of great guys. There's so much cost plus shipping going on in there.
Yes, there is.
And I've done it myself. I mean, I've walked into Liquor Barn, saw some Rare Characters. I bought 7, 8, 9 of them, and cost plus to all of them. But there's so many more guys on there that do way more than that. But it's a really good group, bunch of cost plus guys.
And so if I know
which is wild for a 1,000 member group to be.
And one of the co-founders is actually in that group, right, as well?
Yeah, Peter
Nevenglosky. I'm going to butcher your name. Let's just say
Pablo and Peter.
Pablo and Peter.
Is it Moix? Is it Nevenglosky?
You guys got to have easier last names to pronounce.
Pablo and Peter.
The thing that's interesting about Rare Character as a company, when I was looking up their information, when I say looking it up, I mean, really, I don't think they've been on the scene longer than maybe 2020, 2021. So not very long. And in their description of their own sort of story, they talk about being the purveyors of fine American whiskey, and their whole, I guess, point of their company is to get certain types of whiskey and expressions into the hands of people that have never had it before. So they want to create like special collaborations, special delivering like different stocks of whiskey. So not just saying like we're going to deliver MGP in a certain way. They're going to look outside of the box and buy from multiple producers to produce like a unique experience.
And but to go hand in hand with that, Pablo's a long time big whiskey guy, restaurateur, and he has a great palate. From people I've talked to, they're really good friends with him.
Yep.
So it's kind of like, some of their stuff is 4 and 5 year old MGP.
Yeah.
Some of it's 5 to 7 year old Bardstown Bourbon Company. But when you taste their product, I would put against any other 4 or 5 year MGP I taste. So I think he I don't know if he just where he has great ends and connections, he gets actually presented better barrels, or if he just turns down, so many barrels that he doesn't pick or what. But it is very unique, and hit that though, the pricing points.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, you see some 4 and 5 year old MGP. $89, $99, $109. A lot of their stuff, if it's that young, is $59, $69, dollars.
Absolutely.
So
they got those good prices. But the other thing I was going to say is when you go back to the rabid fan base, when I'm over here telling you guys I don't know a whole bunch about, I know you were telling me about their background, so they got a good background in whiskey. But if you look at that fan club, if you will, on Facebook, man, some of the groups and like the people in those groups that have collections of Rare Character, it's like floor to ceiling, massive shelves that are 5 and 6 bottles deep, and they're stocked. They're like, I'm talking hundreds of bottles of Rare Character. So they're definitely doing something right. And I've only tasted a handful of different offerings they have. I've never disliked anything, but I mean, this malt stuff I've had the chance to taste off and on prior to us doing this tonight, and not all of these, definitely not side by side. And so I'm really excited to be able to try these.
Yeah. Same thing. We're not trying them for the first time tonight. I think that's sometimes how a lot of the podcasts go. We'll try it for the first time.
Yep.
So this first time trying them, probably, side by side like this. But once again, just is not a Scotch. It is not that peaty malt. It's not this, not that. It's very unique and unique in a good way. And especially once we get to the older ones, it's like high caliber premium.
I'm excited to try. And before we start the nose here, I wanted to ask you, did I remember correctly? Didn't you have some kind of experience where you met Pablo and you were able to sort of to get your hands on some of these earlier probably than they were, hitting the market? Do I remember that correctly?
Yeah. So I was down at Justin's House of Bourbon here in Lexington.
Okay.
One of my best friends works down there. And, was going in, just trying some of their barrel picks. They do some really good barrel picks. And Pablo happened to be there that day.
Oh, wow. So you're just like walking around like, hey, Pablo's just hanging out Justin's House Bourbon. There you go.
And I brought, we shared a lot of good pours. And, And, he said, hey, appreciate, you sharing these pours. And I'm going to get some stuff for you, or to Ryan for you. So I'm thinking, okay, cool. He's going to give me like a little sample of something. Samples are fine.
You're expecting just some samples. Yeah, like we trade when we go around town and we have, our samples, little things. We just give people samples. Yeah.
So the next day or two, Ryan meets up with me and he gives me 3 bottles, like whole bottles.
Like full bottles?
Full bottles. One is...
Jackpot.
One's like your normal Rare Character you'll see at the Liquor Barn, Total Wines, all the store picks everywhere.
Yeah,
Just a regular bourbon. Well, actually it was a rye that day that he gave me.
Okay.
Just a regular looking bottle. But there was these 2 bottles that were so unique. It was a totally black bottle. It said the Exceptional Series.
Yeah.
And it said Kentucky Straight Malt Whiskey. And I was like, what in the world is this?
Yeah, he probably like, what?
Because
he's giving me something that's no good that nobody wants.
No idea what that was. So I was able to try it before any store ever released them.
Wow. That's mega.
Talk about that Rare Character Facebook group.
Yeah.
So I took a picture of the bottle that I had. I posted in there as an ISO. I'm like, hey, I'm looking for these picks if anybody. Yeah. And multiple people are like, what is that? What is that? Never seen that. What is that? What is that? And one guy was like, that's our pick up in Massachusetts and it's not even been released yet. How did you get that? I'm like, oops. So I'm like, oh crap, man. So
hey, Pablo just had one sitting in his car and he decided to give it to me. That's awesome.
I messed with one of the admins. I'm like, should I take this down? I was like, no, it's fine. Like,
that's
cool.
Awesome.
It's like,
the advance of the advance pick. Well, that's certainly awesome. And I mean, that speaks volumes about someone. Like, you just meet the guy, you guys share some pours, and he's like, here you go, here you go, me son, try some of my bourbons and,
he's like the
whiskeys,
Oprah of bourbon, you get a bottle, you get a bottle, you get a bottle. So,
Oh, that's pretty awesome. So I'm excited now to nose these. So I don't know how we're going to do this with 4, but I guess we could just kind of go down the line and
I would start youngest and go oldest.
Yeah, okay, maybe. We'll do that.
Now, actually, let's hit the first one first.
Yeah, we can talk about them while we're going through them here.
So we're nosing first?
Yeah. Wait a minute, I'm trying to think here. Yeah, it's a bit. Well, I guess I'll reserve my judgment until we get to get through them all.
That'll be fair too. Last time I was on, it was my pick, and I talked about less ethanol. There's a little more ethanol.
Yeah.
A lot more ethanol.
Yeah.
So we get to number 3. Number 3, not much ethanol. Number 4. Wow.
So, Kenny, as I'm going through these and being as little malt as I've experienced outside of Scotch and things that we've tasted on this podcast in the past, it's really interesting going from youngest to oldest, as you might expect. The ethanol seems to be higher on the younger versions of this than it does on the older, but it's still present a little bit on the nose. And then I'm getting a myriad of different stuff ranging from, just about anything. Like, I kind of want to hear what you have to say.
Yeah. And it really is. I'm not going to say it's bad to say it all over the place, but it truly is all over the place. You definitely get some greens, some grasses, some earths, maybe some chocolatey as well.
Yeah. Almost get a little bit of like I don't know, salty air, like a sea air a little bit.
And one thing though too, and this is with that malt, if you think about it, there are some bad boy, just banger ryes that are 5-6 years old, right?
Yeah.
There's not many banger bourbons that are 5-6 years old.
That's true. Yeah.
Rye develops the fastest. So a lot of these new startup distilleries with their own juice, at least, will put out their ryes first. Bourbon takes a little longer to develop. Corn takes a little longer to develop, so the bourbons come a little bit after that.
Yep.
Wheat takes even longer to develop. That's why, I've never really had a young wheater that's awesome.
Young wheaters are usually rough, so that makes a lot of sense.
If you have a larceny wheater,
yep.
But then look at what they do when it's called a Parker's or something, and that wheater just, holy crap. Once it's 12, 14 years old, whatever. So this malted barley is a lot like that. It takes a lot longer to develop. So if you remember, Parker's actually put out this 8-year. And this is why also even though it's NDAs, it's more than just a rumor. This should be sourced from Heaven Hill, but Parker's did put out that 8-year malted, or the actual 8-year Kentucky Straight Malt
Whiskey. You remember what year that came out?
I thought it was just last year.
Was it just last year?
It was 22 or 21.
Okay.
But they put out that 8-year, and honestly, it wasn't very good in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't remember many people like saying that was amazing or anything. That's why I wondered when that was, because I guess it was kind of forgettable, right?
Right. So that's going to be interesting to try these tonight, because I'm not really familiar with the 8-year on this very much.
Yeah.
I've drank a lot of the 14 because that's the one that just, so Pablo got me, I got the 9-year, 6-month, and the 14-year. 5-month. That's the 2 bottles it gave me.
Okay.
So that's 2 I'm most familiar with.
Okay.
I'm not near as familiar with the 8-year or the 11-year.
Gotcha.
So this, even though it's not my first time, this would be kind of sort of like a first time trying them, really.
I got you.
Because I haven't really had a bunch of that.
Well, this is going to be my first experience with some of these as well. I don't think I've ever had the 11-year or the 9-year. I think I've had the 8 because I had some here the one time, and I've tried a 14 one time as well. So not super experienced, but I'll tell you right now on the nose, the one that's a loser for me on the nose right now is the 11.
Yeah.
While it doesn't have much ethanol, it has a really
doesn't much of anything else.
Really funky, like I always tell people that this is the strangest thing I pull out of any kind of whiskey. It's got like this, I don't know. It's like I don't know how to say this nicely. So it smells like new house drywall a little bit. It just has a really strange funk to it.
Well, see, I wouldn't know what new house drywall smells like because my kids went to the dollar store for $5.
Yeah, old house, new house. Young wood, old wood, but it's got a little bit of a strange compared to the others. I think the others.
No, I agree, man.
Kind of have like.
But that's the thing. Keep in mind, that's also the 104 proof one.
That's true. It's a lower proof, so who knows?
Everything else is 130 to 135.
Is it possible that could be different distillate altogether?
Man,
it's possible,
honestly,
right?
but who's got a 65-35? So I don't know.
That's true. No, nobody does. Maybe just a different part of the rickhouse or
different
something.
Part of the rickhouse.
Yeah. So as you're mentioning this and we're talking about it, I'm really excited that this, you were talking about the way that things age and how rye is the fastest. And I remember having some 2-year ryes and really liking them versus having the older, having bourbons that are younger and not liking them. So being that, I guess the youngest malt whiskey that I've tasted, it's in this spirit, is probably the Balcones, and that was still like almost 5 or 6 years old. So do you think the malt takes longer to develop too? I don't remember.
Yeah, malt's going to be, I don't know if it's longer than wheat or wheat's longer, but they're both way longer than corn.
Okay. All right.
Definitely. I mean, you definitely need, I think, that 9, 10-year, 8-year, 9-year, 10-year point on the malted barley.
All right. Well, I honestly think that we should just go into tasting here. What do you think?
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Are we going to taste one and then talk about it, or taste multiple and compare?
What do you want to do?
I don't know.
You're the guest.
Let's just taste one and see what happens from there.
Okay. Sounds good. All right, here we go. I like the fact that you're always swishing. It's a very unique way of tasting. I like to let it roll around my mouth. You like to really let it get in there.
I was going to respond to that, but I'm still tasting this real quick. But yeah, such a thing. I mean, that's like I said, the first time I was on, I'm newer to bourbon. I've had a lot of good teachers. Moix, who you've had on.
Yeah.
My buddy Ryan Alves are kind of my 2 Yodas.
Okay.
That's my guys.
Yep.
I've learned a lot about tasting from them. The guy that you did the shout out last time sounded like he's been sipping bourbon about the same time I have.
Yeah.
But Go Coach.
Yeah.
But you do want to definitely take a breath in, take a sip, swish it around your mouth, swallow, and once you swallow, immediately exhale, and there goes all your ethanol. Yeah. So I've even got a lot of people that have been sipping bourbon for 5, 7, 10 years come to my house, and I tell them about that.
They don't know that.
They don't know that. So that's how we sit around and drink 130, 140, 145 proof bourbons, and it doesn't burn us up.
Yep, exactly.
Take a deep breath in first. Get your drink, swish to coat your mouth, swallow, and then you got to exhale. Then all the ethanol goes out.
Wow. What'd you think about this one?
This is grass. This is dirt. This is
earthy.
Earthy, very earthy.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take one more sip here real quick.
Yeah. I know you got to tell me what you're picking up on the very tail end, because I'm picking it up, and I'm sure if I'm picking it up, you are. Are you picking up anything like unique in the end of this?
Maybe a little chocolatey, barely. I'm not going to say chocolatey, actually, no. Maybe like a little candy shell or something. I don't know.
Yeah, that's, you know what? I'm kind of thinking that like almost like a Reese's Pieces shell. That's
slightly
kind
peanut
of
butter.
slightly peanut butter, but not like not sweet and overly sweet. It's still more earthy than sweet.
But there's so much of the green, the earthy up front kind of overshadows that for me.
Yeah, and It's a little bit hot. I'm not gonna lie. It drinks a little bit hot for you can taste that proof. What 133 you said?
I believe so. I apologize. Let's see. 131 actually on this, but yeah, it's still up there, 130s.
All right, I'm gonna get me a little tiny swig of water here, and then we can go on to the second one.
Okay.
Usually in our episodes we engage a little more small talk, but usually we're not also tasting four whiskeys, back to back. So, all right, number 2. Here we go.
So this is 9 year, 6 months.
Okay. It's a bit smoother to me. When I say smoother, it's still hot, but it doesn't have as much earthiness to it.
I don't get the earthy.
It's sweeter.
Much sweeter. I don't get the earthy. I get more malty though.
Yeah.
Definitely get more of the malt on that one. But it has a good rise to it. Like it kind of, I'm still like a thumbs up, thumbs down guy.
Yep.
I've gotten decent, like I said, at picking out distilleries and whatnot, but I don't have all the best descriptors. But I always look for that thing which I call it a roller coaster. Where does it take me up, down, left, right? And that definitely gets a good rise on my palate. But definitely sweeter, a little more malty, but I don't get the green on that.
Yeah, it's I use the descriptor of like confectioner's sugar, but it's not really confectioner's sugar. It almost to me tastes like a powdered candy sugar a little bit. That's the sweetness I'm getting is like a powdered sugar sweetness, and it's followed by that
fun dips or whatever.
Fun dips,
like where you've got the little stick and you dip it in. And, like a fun dip.
And like a richness that is also. Got depth to it. So that's nice. That's a nice one. So are we going to go straight on to the 11 here? Do we have enough time here?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Although it was my least favorite nose, it's actually pretty good. It seems a lot more balanced, a lot more rich and balanced.
So this almost has like a creaminess to it. It's like a creamy mouthfeel.
Not as sweet as the 9.
No, definitely not sweet.
But creamier and more balanced.
Yeah, it almost, I have to say, like of the ones that we've drank so far, it probably has the most balance, but the least complexity, if that makes sense. Actually, I shouldn't say it's the least complex because I haven't necessarily picked everything out yet, but it definitely has the smoothest, creamiest mouthfeel so far.
I think when you're saying least complex, I can understand what you're saying on that because to me, the beginning and the middle and the end, they don't deviate a lot.
Yeah, they all kind of taste the same.
When you drink the 9 year, it literally took you up and then down, and then it was different and it finished.
Yeah. Yep.
But creamier, and I could sip on that a lot. Like I could sip a lot of that.
Yeah, it might go down easier, but I will say that like flavor-wise, it kind of almost tastes a little bit more like the 8 to me in terms of it does have a little bit of earthiness that creeps in.
Well, so far, I like the 9 better so far.
Yeah.
So far, I'm a 9. I like
power
the 9 year
of persuasion,
6 months.
but I'm 9/8/11 right now.
9/8/11. Okay. Okay. I'll have to revisit because I'm kind of I'm 9/11/8.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
But you know me, man. We love the blind, so
yeah.
I'll close my eyes and you can,
And on to the 14-year-old. Boy, like I just have to say before I'm even tasting this, when you nose it, it kind of noses like again. The high-end bourbons that you're used to. Well, you're not used to them, but when you never forget when you first get to taste like
George C. Stagg.
Yeah, George C. Stagg or William LaRuella or something that's premium, and you always kind of remember. I know I've said in previous episodes like it smells premium. Well, this does again noses premium, so I hope it tastes like that too.
Here we go.
Oh my gosh!
Oh wow, dude! Wow.
The finish is still going. That's
It has a balance of sweetness, a little malty, but not heavy malt.
Yep.
It is but this has turned into a dark fruit sweetness to me, not a sugary candy sweetness.
Yeah, I think this is the best of both worlds. I think it's almost like the way I would describe it is like decadent, right? So you get your dark fruits, but you also have like a dark chocolate. You have like the mixture of like what I would call like a dessert. So do your chocolate covered strawberry, do things like that. It's just like and it takes you in a lot of places.
Your balcones was grapefruit and chocolate.
Yep. I remember that.
So this is the chocolate as well with that, not the grapefruit though.
Yeah.
Because I guess it's where it's got the 35% corn as well.
Yeah, and when we reviewed it, we didn't taste any of that stuff. We were even more amateurish. But when you got into that, I know that you had tried it and you liked it a lot. And
we both loved it initially.
Oh yeah.
Then as it said, it just faded out. It was just nothing but grapefruit.
Yeah, this is that's a treat. So like when I say dessert, I do mean like, and sometimes I'm able to pick out the exact baked good it is. Like one time, this is odd, but one time I tasted like I think it was a 15-year-old release of George Dickel, and instead of getting Flintstone vitamins, it was like that could be a cinnamon roll. It was very strange. This is definitely like, if I had long enough to talk about it and sit with it and have maybe a couple pours of it, I'm going to settle on the exact dessert that it is. And that's the way it tastes to me.
It's crazy though. Like, if you think about it, on this is 133 proof.
Oh man,
you would not. All right, so the 9 year, 6 month took you up. Boom, you can definitely tell it's bold, 130 something proof.
Yeah.
The 11 year dropped to 104, and it was not as, like you said, it just a lot. It was a lot more plain. But this has all full rich flavor, 133 proof. It does not drink like that at all.
Oh no, not at all.
So if anybody sees these out in their areas, I know there's more picks coming out.
Well, you gotta wait. You gotta wait for the pass, try, or buy to tell them what people see in the area. I'm just kidding.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm a noob. I apologize.
But no, I'm gonna have you. Actually, you know what? Since we are.
Keep on going.
No, since this episode is more about the whiskey, I think we need to jump right into it and go into this assessment, right? Because there's got to be a deep assessment here. This is new stuff. It's not in a lot of markets. People don't know about it. So go pick up where you left off. I want to hear exactly what you're saying about if you see it, you got to do what?
All right. Well, I'm going to back up even one step before that.
Okay.
I got that 14-year, 5-month bottle from Pablo.
Okay.
Tasted it. It's nowhere. Haven't seen it in any of the secondary groups. Seen it anywhere.
Yep.
And I said, man, if I could get those for $600 a bottle.
600.
I said I would buy 15, 20 of them at $600 a bottle. Okay.
Wow. Yeah.
Because what I relate it to is George C. Stagg.
Okay.
And most people, myself included, I would think, honestly, if I want George C. Stagg, I've got to pay $800 to $1,000 for a bottle.
Oh yeah, well,
I don't have the in at the liquor store to get it for $150, $200, and this and that.
No, we don't either.
I said for this 14-year, I would pay $600 a bottle,
and that would make sense. Yeah, I mean that would. Yeah,
it is that good in my opinion. I know I've blinded a few people with this 14-year. Against 2018, 2019, 2020 George C. Stagg. Not like all four together.
Yeah.
But I might blind one person with 2018 Stagg and this.
Not like we're doing tonight.
Somebody else, I might blind somebody else with 2020 Stagg and this.
Yeah.
And every person so far has picked this, except one person, they picked the Stagg. But you're also talking about a $225 bottle.
Yep.
Compared to something you got to get lucky at in a lottery to get for $200 or really pay $800 for.
Oh, 100%. And that's the thing. Like I try to always talk about the value and the balance of things that are on the market versus things that people chase. And any BTAC is always going to cost you. What does Handy go for? $700, $800,
$650, $700,
$700.
Yeah.
And so
it's probably the best 2022 BTAC anyway.
Side note. But yeah, no, that's absolutely right. Like, so when you're thinking about these and you're putting them in that category, that speaks a lot to like, the worth of them in terms of, what people might value, especially people who love to just taste something new.
But before we do the, pass, try, buy, I will say, in my opinion, the 14 years is a totally different animal than the other three we tried tonight.
No, I agree.
When I say totally different, I'm talking totally different.
I agree.
I think that's just where, but once again, that malted barley is either like wheat or takes even longer to develop than wheat, so it takes that long time.
Yeah, and so let's actually just jump right into it. So since we seem like we're having a good dialogue about this, where are you at with the 8-year? Would you pass, try, or buy on the 8-year for the price? Consider price, everything.
So we got the 8-year, I believe, for $89.
Okay.
If you can grab an 8-year for $89, then I would buy it.
You'll buy it, okay?
Because at least here in Lexington, our local liquor stores have 5 to 6 year new loos and stuff like that for $100, $120.
Okay.
Now, in my overall opinion, I would literally pass on it.
Okay.
For me. But for your listeners, if they just get it for $89 compared to what else is out there.
Yeah.
I know it's not. I know that's like a flip flop answer, isn't it?
It is, but here's the thing, though. I mean, you're saying that amongst the ones that you're maybe that's a better way to say it. Amongst the ones that you're tasting,
here we go. So amongst the ones I'm tasting, I would pass.
That's a pass.
That's a
Okay.
pass.
So let's do it like that. Let's say of what we're tasting, because you can see any of them out there, regardless of price. What do you say? So it's a pass.
Pass on the 8 year for me.
And you know what? I'm actually probably going to agree with you here, because even though I like it overall, and I agree with you that if you do see it for $90 somewhere, that it might be worth a flyer for you. With them all side by side here, I'm gonna call it a pass. I'm gonna call it the loser of the group. So, well, yeah. So, and then moving on with the 9 year, what would you do with that one?
The 9 year to me is a buy.
Okay.
The 9 year is a buy to me.
I'm sipping it here again. I have to sip it one more time.
I'm gonna sip it one more time as well. Let me see here.
It's not that much more expensive, right?
No, it was 119 to 139, depending on this. No, 119 to 129 to 114.
14?
114,
Okay.
119.
Okay.
So not much more money.
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to buy that one too, because I like that one. That just the overall flavor profile of it just strikes my palate very nicely in a way that like it tastes exceptional to me. So I'm buying that one. This one, I think we're going to have a debate on 11 year. What are you going to do with 11 year?
Well, before that, do your listeners know what you look like?
They might. They may not. I don't know.
I wish you did a YouTube channel instead of just a podcast.
Oh, really? Is this a suggestion?
You're a very handsome guy with incredibly nice hair.
Guest host. Oh, thank you. You're paying me a compliment here.
Man,
I think Kenny's had too much to drink.
starting to get to me here.
Uh-oh, there you go.
All right,
What do you think of that 11 year?
11 year, I am at a try.
Okay.
I was going to go pass. You know what? Hang on. One more drink first.
Yeah, let's both do another drink of this one.
Hang on. Before this final drink, I was at a try, but let me try.
Okay.
So, if you do not factor money,
Yep.
I'm a try on this.
Okay.
If you factor money, because
what's this one cost?
169 to 189, depending on the store.
Okay.
So based on that 169 to 189, I'm a complete pass, because the 9 years 114 to 129.
Yeah.
So I'm a try in general.
Okay.
Or if you factor money in, I'm a pass.
Okay. I'm gonna align with you on this one, because I feel like people shouldn't deprive themselves of this. But for me, for my palate, I'm not going to be seeking out any 11 year, just because to me it tastes the most. Here's the thing, guys. None of these taste like Scotch, but to me it tastes the most Scotchy. I finally nailed it when I had my final sip, and I don't know if it's a low proof, but if you like something that is more malted grain forward, but in a way that it's smooth and nice, you're going to want that, but not me. I don't want it, and I don't want it for, what was it, 189, 169, 189. It's just not striking the right chord for me, so I'm going to agree with your assessment. I'm probably going to be a pass. Try because I want you to try it, but probably pass because I wouldn't buy it.
And that's just comparing these four to each other, also taking in pricing point.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I think that
if you
right
like Japanese whiskey,
yeah.
If you like Scotch,
yeah,
this is a buy. This is a hands down buy.
Oh, it has to be, yeah.
Hands down buy if you like Japanese whiskey or Scotch.
So I agree with you on that. So let's move on to the 14 year.
Okay.
Yeah.
One more sip.
So, spoiler alert, we kind of already said it already, and I'll say it again. This is just delicious. If you can find it for $229 or $200 or whatever it is.
And not that I promote, buying bourbon illegally through secondary.
Oh, no one
markets
does. We talk about enthusiasts. We call them enthusiast markets. Yeah.
So not that but dead serious, I would pay $400-500 easily.
Yeah.
I would literally go up to $600. I haven't changed my opinion. I go up to $600 on these.
Yeah.
If you compare it to other bourbons that cost that much.
Yeah, I think so. Good. I think so. Can I put you on the spot for a special feature real quickly here?
Yeah.
So when I had you on a couple weeks back here, or was it maybe even last week? I'm trying to think. How would you compare your own old Louisville pick to this lineup that we tasted tonight?
Mine is much, much sweeter.
Yep.
I think that's because the 51% corn, 49% malted barley.
I agree.
Mine is much, much sweeter. This tastes more complex than mine.
Yeah, the 14 especially.
Well, I take it back. Mine crushes everything but the 14. I'll just be honest with you straight up. Crushes.
Okay.
But you compare mine to the 14, I've blinded multiple people with that.
Yep.
They picked mine over the 14 year.
Oh, wow.
But for something about that 14 to me, just it hits home hard.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's a toss up without trying them blind side by side, man, to be honest with you.
And I know you're a big proponent of the blind, so we won't get into all that right now. We don't have the time to get into it, but maybe in a future episode we can bring you back to do some blinding. What do you think?
I'd love to do that, man.
Yeah, that would be great. And I can just say I don't know what the future holds with whiskey. Like we've speculated a lot about, is the bourbon boom dead? Is this happening? A lot of loaded questions that we've mentioned on this podcast, and a lot of people are pondering. But what I can say is this. I think malt is going to be in the future. I think that malt is going to be recognized moving forward. I think it's got a big place other than just as a finishing, flavoring grain for whiskey, with those that are going to have more in it. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree, because I am not a Scotch guy at all. I've tried multiple Scotches. Honestly, I haven't found one I like at all.
Yep.
But these do not taste like Scotch. And I didn't do the research to see, but I was told by one guy that, malt is like either the most expensive grain or I think it's the most expensive grain in a mash bill.
No way.
That's why most distilleries are 4%, 8%, whatever, low malted barley.
Okay.
So it's super expensive grain supposedly. And so, so when you get a mash bill like this, it just costs more per barrel.
Oh,
so that's why I think a lot of it you don't see out there, but it is so unique in a great way, not just, truly a great way. Because I've had some bad bourbons and bad whiskeys. Oh, that is unique. Trying to be nice.
Yeah.
This is unique in a great way. It is not that unique. Absolutely amazing.
And now I want to have more barley in the whiskey, except for my mom makes a beef barley soup as well. So Mama can keep the barley in the soup, and that'll make everybody happy.
There we go.
And with that, thanks for listening to this week's edition. Please like and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter @TheMashUpKY. Also, let us know your thoughts on this bottle in the comments section. Until next time, keep it neat.